Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we got a very special episode. I got a special guest on for this bonus episode. It's going to be very interesting, as they all are. So, stay tuned. Hey, everyone, it's Brody Frye. And here, we dive deep into difficult questions. We'll map out thoughts, theories, and crazy ideas for the love of knowledge and growth. So, how do we answer some of the mind's toughest questions? This is the Mind Hiking Podcast. All right, everybody, let's get into this. So, actually, before we get into this, I do want to apologize for my loyal listeners at the beginning of the release on this Monday, episode 7's release. There was a pretty major mistake on that episode, and I just want to throw this out there that I'm sorry about that. It is fixed now. There was, around the 50-minute mark, there was like a long dead pause. So just a editing error, and I apologize for that, but hopefully you didn't catch that. But if you did, I appreciate you guys listening to that episode right off the bat. So, all right, let's get into this episode. Bonus episode today, and I brought a special guest here with us. This is going to be very fun. Special guest today, one of the favorites, Stefie Frye. How are you doing, Steph?
I'm good. Happy to be back.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you back. It was a lot of fun last time, and we're going to have a lot of fun this time.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, today's episode, actually playing off of the other bonus episode that was also released today, is dreams. So this is going to be awesome. I chose to have you on because you have some interesting dreams, and I'm so excited to talk about some of these dreams. And I've been obsessed with dreams for a long time. I actually have many dream journals stacked in front of us, and I really find it fascinating, just like your dreams, because if you did listen to the last bonus episode, we kind of talked about frequencies a little bit and getting into that theta or delta state of mind and your subconscious mind and how it's so tough, especially like with meditation, you're kind of striving to reach that theta state, which is so difficult for adults especially. But dreams, I feel like there's something else there. Like your mind is still playing things through, whether it's experiences that you're having or just thoughts, or what we discussed in the last episode with just picking up information here and there that you don't necessarily realize on a conscious level, but your subconscious still picks that up and stores that information. And I feel like dreams are a way of shuffling through all that information. There's got to be something else there. Like your subconscious is like playing those images while you're asleep. I've always been fascinated, and I feel like there's something else there. So, Stefie, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on dreams?
I feel like there's so many different things, like you were saying. It kind of goes into like your subconscious and things that you're thinking about throughout your day and just, shit going on in your life all the time. I definitely think that dreams kind of reflect on what's going on deep in our brains.
Definitely, yeah. I love so I have a couple dream books that kind of like give a little bit of insight on things that you see in your dreams, whether it be specific animals or symbols or stuff like that. And I love reading through that. When I have like a dream with a major image that stood out to me, or like something, even if it was something subtle, but I remembered it or I picked up on it, I feel like that means something. So I love to refer back to these books and like read through like what could this possibly mean. And I love having multiple because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about especially this kind of stuff, and it's tough to like, it's easy to get mixed up with some other stuff. So what I like to do is just have multiple books, reference them all, and then kind of decipher for myself, come up with my own kind of idea of what it meant to me, because straight out of a book, you can't really, like, they don't know you. They don't know what's going through your mind or your life. So I like to make my own conclusions based off of, external information. So, but it is still interesting, and I love reading into this kind of stuff. One thing that we did discuss as well in the last episode very briefly, I talked about it being like a mental mistake, but that is sleep paralysis. That's quite the, for some, scary topic. So one of the reasons why I brought my sister back is she has got some great examples of this. She has had quite the paralysis experience, and I would love if you would be willing to share that.
Yeah,
even
of
though I
course.
didn't really prep you for this.
No, I kind of expected to go into this. I've only actually had sleep paralysis one time, but it was like one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had in my life. So at my old place that I used to live at, there was mirrors directly in front of where my bed was. So when I was laying down, I was looking directly into those mirrors. And there was one time when it was like midday, I was taking a nap and I fell asleep and I, thought I was awake and I was looking at myself in that mirror like I was awake, but then like I couldn't move my head, I couldn't move my body, and just out of the corner of my eye I could see this just tall dark figure standing there, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't moving, I couldn't move, and it was just, I just closed my eyes and I was like, maybe it'll go away, and I finally was able to wake myself up after a little bit, but it was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. And just because it's so like fresh and recent, like you listened to episode 7 with JJ, right?
Yes.
And that top hat guy.
Yes.
I wonder if there's some correlation there. Not that it's like, I don't know, because so after that episode, one of JJ's sisters actually reached out to him, Kaylee, and she was kind of talking about her perspective on that. And this would, I just love like looking at this. Like I would love to just kind of bring this all together. If we could have the 4 of us on a podcast, that would be amazing. But just also having her on to hear her perspective and doing like a episode 7 review with her would be so cool, because I would love to hear her side of the story. And she had some great insights on like that possibly being some sort of a like spirit or possibly even a demon that's just observing, whether that be like anxiety or fear that it feeds off of, because I guess it's actually a common sighting around the world, that sort of a figure. And depending on that situation in your life, he may pop up. And when JJ got pinned down by this guy, that could have been sleep paralysis as well.
Yeah.
And maybe that spirit or demon just kind of wanted to get a closer look of fear.
Mm-hmm.
It
was funny when I was listening to that episode, and as soon as Jay was describing what the guy looked like before, he was like, okay, like he had a top hat, couldn't really see his face. And then when he got into his clothes, in my mind, I was like, he was wearing a trench coat, wasn't he? And then he was like, and in a trench coat. And I was like, I fucking knew it, man.
Yeah.
Like they always are.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, stay away from those trench coats, I guess. Yeah, that was scary too. Because like when you told me about this dream, this was actually the first time I ever heard of sleep paralysis. Like I've heard that term before, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that like you wake up and you can't move, because I've never experienced it up to that point. And when you told me, I felt so bad for you, because you were living on your own at that point.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were in your own place, and yeah, that had to have been so scary. Like I felt so bad for you. I was like, oh my goodness, that's got to be terrifying, especially with the mirror there. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Watching yourself and like feeling this presence, and because you could you feel that?
Yeah, I could just feel like somebody watching me. I felt like there was eyes on me, and I couldn't look over to see if there were or not.
Could you see anything like out of your peripheral vision?
It was just like a dark shadow figure off to the left side, and I couldn't.
So you're staring at your own eyes.
Yeah, I was just like looking into my soul.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is in my room right now?
Yeah, but you couldn't move. So you couldn't see what it was.
No.
Oh my goodness. And how long did this last?
It felt like fucking forever.
Oh, I bet.
I don't even know. It was probably only like a minute max, but it felt like a long time.
Now, what happened? Were you able to just kind of like break free, or was it kind of like a loose like okay, slowly turn? How did that happen?
No, it was one of those where like I closed my eyes like really tight and I was like, I need to like get out of that. And then I like, you know, when you have like those dreams that you're falling and you wake up and you're like,
Yep.
like all aggressive, just jump up.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I like jumped up and I was like, fuck.
Oh, wow. So did you feel like you just like fell back into your own body?
I felt like but more of like a jump. It was just like a really aggressive, like,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. So like those times where you're like slightly dozing off and then all of a sudden your body just
like,
jolts.
fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it felt like. And then all of a sudden I was like looking around and there was nothing there. I was like, it was light out too. It was daytime. And I was like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, that is so crazy. Yeah, that's one of the most terrifying examples that I have ever heard of, and I know a lot of people have seen a lot of freaky things when under this. Just stories that I don't personally know, but you know, you read about here and there, people seeing some messed up stuff when they are under sleep paralysis. So shortly after you had this experience, probably, you know, it could have been a year after.
Yeah, I was gonna say a few months maybe.
Yeah, somewhere a few months to a year, anywhere in there. I had an experience, actually, in my dream journal, I forgot. So I, for years, have been writing down my dreams. And, okay, so I got the date right here. My first I labeled it as my first remembered sleep paralysis. Yeah, so this happened 7/14 of 2021 was my very first sleep paralysis. And I don't know if I should be doing this, but so when I track my dreams, it's first thing I do. When I wake up, I roll over, have a glass of water, or I got my water bottle, and listen to episode 6. You know what my water bottle says. But so I have a gulp out of that, and then write down my journal in my journal about the dream, and rare occasions when I can't remember. And what's funny too about dreams and tracking them, when you don't track your dreams, you can't really remember them. Like I struggled when I started, and the more you exercise that muscle or that brain part, that remembering part, it gets easier to remember your dreams when you wake up. So, and a lot of times too, especially towards the beginning when I started doing this, I would have to I didn't remember anything, and as I got up and started moving and saw different things in my house and stuff, I'd be like, oh, that reminded me of what happened. And then I piece it together. I'd go to the bathroom or whatever, and then I'd come back and I would be able to write it down. And sometimes I can only remember one specific thing, but actually one thing that I advise if you want to start doing this to help you remember, especially when you're starting off, is before you open, and this is another thing, you got to train yourself to do it, but when you wake up, before you open your eyes, when you regain consciousness, don't open your eyes, just because I feel like, for me at least, when I open my eyes, that's when the dream's gone. I can wake up, still remember it, and then I sit up or I open my eyes, and then all of a sudden all this information starts flooding into your eyes, because the second you open your eyes, you're taking in information. So dream was gone for me. So I would keep my eyes closed and use 3 words, just whatever. So I would pick out 3 key points of the dream. If it was me and my dog Baron walking in a field or something, for example, I would just be me, Baron, field, or something like that. Just a simple example. That wasn't actually a dream, but yes, I just say that, repeat that, then open my eyes, and then I'd be able to remember it. So just a little side tip. But this is word for word what I wrote down the second I broke out of that sleep paralysis. And actually, I have not read this, and I didn't even read through this before we started this. So this is going to be the first time I read through this, because I don't think I read this since I wrote it.
Yeah.
But 7/14/2021, first remembered sleep paralysis. And also, before I start this, I don't write complete sentences or anything, because I have so much information that I wanted to get down. So I write super choppily. So Yeah, it's gonna sound weird. I just write.
Just read us the story.
Yeah, I know. It's just short, quick, rapid notes that I'm just like trying to sketch this out as fast as I can. Just a heads up. Okay. In some town, saying goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. France, which is my girlfriend's parents, on busy street with river and a drop off walkway next to it. We are on far side of the street, and I say bye to Mr. France, and I turn to look over the water, and I see a massive mechanical flying spacecraft that is white and black, or more cream and black. It's flying to the right just above the water, and I'm trying to get Katie's attention, but she wouldn't look, and it disappears behind a tall building. I thought it was a satellite. Oh, I thought it was a satellite in the dream. Now they were talking and taking goodbye photos, and they were in a new Jeep Wrangler, orangey yellow, or maybe blue. And Katie is leaning in to kiss JJ for photos. They don't actually do it. Then I watch myself lean in for a kiss to get photos and realize I'm dreaming. My body and everything get left behind, and I get transported to the darkness. But it looks like the entrance to an old, abandoned, but clean movie theater. I was traveling so fast it was a blur until this point. I float in slowly. Just inside there is a bedroom, and I get thoughts of my dad, but it's not his room. There is a soft open spot on the left side that I uncontrollably float over to and do a front flip into and land under the blanket. With my head down where my feet should be, I plop into the bed. On my way in, there were one or two possible spirits in the theater. When I realize I'm in the bed backwards, I flip around so my head is on the pillow. In this dark theater bedroom. I open my eyes, and I'm here in the bedroom. I know Katie is next to me. I see and feel the fan in front of me, and I'm awake. A dark shadow starts to cover my face from the left of me. It starts putting pressure on me like someone is sitting on my head. I start screaming. I scream as loud as I can, but when I force air from my lungs, all I hear is a whining sound of silence. I push harder out of fear, and I hear myself make a soft moan, but not enough to wake Katie. I can't move, but the shadow disappears. I see the room again, and I'm so scared. I fight so hard, still screaming, and I try to move. I kick so hard. I bring my knees to my chest and kick as hard as I can, and I see misty white legs attached to me float up, left slightly higher than the right, and fall into the blanket and out of my sight. I feel pressure all around me. I realize this is sleep paralysis and calm myself down. I remember everything I've learned about it, and I just wait for it to pass. Keeping calm so nothing more happens, I move my arm, and I'm free. And yeah, that's it. All right. Yeah, that, forgive me for my choppy reading because it's literally chicken scratch. For those of you that don't know, I'm a lefty. And also I write this the moment I wake up, super like aggressively. So it's super choppy and like written over itself. And I have like words scribbled out and just like, so it's really hard to read, but that is the story of my sleep paralysis. Yeah. So, basically to kind of interpret that, because it was kind of hard to follow as I was reading this. I was like, they're probably not going to understand this. But yeah, so I did wake up, and I was like freaking out, losing my mind. So I was actually trying to scream in the dream, but like I did hear myself let out a soft moan when like out loud. I could actually hear myself moan slightly while I was like screaming in my dream. Like I felt like I was screaming as loud as I could, but my ears like physically heard like a light moan. And when I tried to like in my dream, I was like, I brought my knees literally to my chest, trying to kick and break myself free. But what I was seeing was my body just laying in bed, just kind of like you. Like I wasn't moving, but like I was trying to bring my knees to my chest, and it felt like they were, and I would kick, and I literally like saw like hazy, misty legs in front of me.
Little ghosty legs.
Yeah, little ghosty legs, and they just dropped. And then and then eventually I was able to just like slightly move my arm, and I was able, and then I just like came back to, but I didn't like slam myself back into my body or anything or have a jolt. It did like kind of lightly break free like that. But
well, you did say that you like had that realization that you were having a sleep paralysis moment, and you were able to like slowly ease yourself back into life.
yeah, because I remember your story, and I was like trying. Yeah, that stuck with me. So I did remember that, and then actually about last year, this is another. I actually was looking through my journals, and I didn't write this one down, but I did have another experience of this, and it wasn't, nothing really happened in that. It was more of a, like, I woke up, saw my room totally fine and everything, and then realized I couldn't move. And then like, you can't move. And then, like, I've talked about this so many times now that, like, and had my first experience at this point, and, like, I immediately knew what it was. I was like, I'm in sleep paralysis again. And so I was just trying to, I wasn't scared this time, but I was trying to scream and just to wake up Katie to see, like, I was trying to, like, ask her to wake me up. Like, I was trying to, like, let out another moan if I could to get her to wake me up, but it wasn't working. And then finally, like, it was like a soft, like, I could hear myself, like, let out a light moan, and then it just got loud, and then she finally rolls over as I broke free. Like, the moment that I, like, came back to and could move, she rolls over, and it was just like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I was in sleep paralysis, and I was trying to get you."
Look okay.
I'm just like shaking back and forth. Yeah, I'm like, "I was just trying to get you to wake me up." Yeah, that was not fun. It wasn't really like scary in the moment though. It was more of like, it just sucks.
Yeah.
But I know some people like see some very vivid, messed up stuff, and luckily I haven't had that experience yet. But
yeah, totally. Well, I was looking up like a lot of stuff about sleep paralysis before we recorded this, and a lot of it said that it's caused from like insomnia, anxiety, like depression, bipolar, like so many different, things can cause it, and I feel like they might get more extreme with different illnesses or whatever. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about your take on dreams specifically. Do you have any information on that? So I wrote down a few notes like on different types of dreams. So I thought that was kind of cool, and we could like maybe go through and share our experiences with each type.
Oh yeah, talk to me.
So my first one that I had on my list was reoccurring dreams, and those I feel like are like just as terrifying. But from what I read, like for those of you, like got Brody this this dream dictionary a few years ago.
That's one of the books I was referring to at the beginning.
For Christmas one year, and within like a week of buying him that book, I went back and I bought myself one. And it's just like goes through the ABCs, and like he was saying, like if there's certain things that you remember from each like dream, like one specific word, then you can go in, find that word, and it breaks down kind of like what that could mean.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But like, so going back to the reoccurring dreams, it was saying that it could be like something that's not resolved in your waking life, like something that you feel like you're fighting constantly, and it's just like, your subconscious like telling you need to fix this.
Yeah. Hey, idiot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fix this shit.
Yeah. Or it could
How many times do I got to tell you?
Or it could be like based off of a fear that you like are constantly like, I mean, so this kind of goes into a different type of dreaming like type, but cathartic dreams is ones where it's like extremely emotional dreams. So
Okay.
like I experience this one a lot, and I know I've told Brody about these a few times where I will wake up just like with tears pouring down my face, and I will just be like extremely like, I have dreams, this is terrible, but all the time of anyone that I love dying, because I think in real life that's my biggest fear, like losing the ones that I love. So I will have those dreams all the time and just wake up and like sobbing, you know.
Yeah. Oh.
But I feel like, I mean, and again, like going off that one says that it's caused by anxiety and you know, and your fears, and so that kind of all wraps up in that one.
Wow. Yeah. I have woken up crying before, and I think it was actually because one of our dogs passed away in the dream.
Yeah.
It was either Whoop or Dozer.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only time I woke up crying. I've woken up screaming many times.
Oh, I haven't had that before.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah, I've woken up yelling before, and I've definitely had like reoccurring dreams as well too.
I don't think I've ever experienced a reoccurring dream. Actually,
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, nothing like it, for me at least. It wasn't like, why am I having this again? It was more of a like, I feel like I recognize this.
Okay.
And then like after I woke up, I'm like, yeah, I've definitely had that dream before. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
it was like the same message like portrayed in a different way.
Yeah. And another thing that's interesting too is like, I don't know if like it's been so long or what, but like I've never found duplicates in my dream journal, but I have found times like I'll star dreams that feel like they were repeated dreams. Mm-hmm. And so far I haven't had any duplicates yet, but I do have multiple that are like, this is familiar. Like I could have swore I had this before, but yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Sorry.
One of the other things I was gonna say is like sleepwalking and talking, because I am one of those. I sleepwalk and talk all the time. Brody has experienced so many weird things that I did as a kid. I would just like waddle up to him when I was asleep and fucking scream at him over nothing.
Yeah. I've heard from a few people that I kind of like babble a little bit, kind of like nonsense when I'm sleeping here and there, but like, I remember like, so growing up when we were really young, we actually shared a room for the longest time. So I got to experience a lot of this sleepwalking and talking from Steph firsthand.
Yeah.
There's some good stories about that. I don't know if you want to get into that quick.
I'll tell the one good one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
It's funny. So there was like one time when we were all like just in our living room. It was me, Brody, my mom, and my dad. And all of a sudden I just stood up off the couch and I stood in front of the TV and I was like, can I go to the bathroom? And my dad was like, the fuck? You don't have to ask to go to the bathroom, just go. So I just kept asking. I was like, can I go to the bathroom? My mom was like, okay, she's asleep or something. And like started walking me up to my room. And I guess she was like putting dishes away or something.
Actually,
You were playing video games. I just remembered that.
Yeah, in the other room I was playing video games. And something happened before you walked upstairs. You mind if I...
Yeah.
So... Actually, I was playing video games, not really paying attention. I heard you ask that, and my dad being like, what the fuck? And then, he's like, yeah, just go. And then you walked past me, and then I, like, heard something, and then my mom walks into the room, and she's just like, what are you doing? And I look, and you have one of the pictures next to the staircase, one of the pictures taken off the wall, set on the ground, and you're like, playing with the nail on the wall, and you're just like, going to the bathroom.
Oh my god, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
Part.
Oh yeah, because I was sitting right there and I was like, what the? And I looked at Mom. I was like, yeah, she's asleep, and she's like, yeah, well, let's get her upstairs.
That's so creepy.
So that's when you guys went upstairs.
Okay, so then I remember. Obviously, I don't remember it, but people telling me. But so me and my mom went upstairs, and she like brought me into the bathroom, and I was just staring at the toilet, I guess, and she was like, do you have to go to the bathroom? And I was like, no. And she like was like, all right, whatever, and brought me into my room and laid me down, and I was like, Mom, I'm cold. And she was like, do you want a blanket? And I just screamed at her, no. And she was like, all right, fuck you.
Yeah, basically. She just like pushes your forehead into the pillow, and she's like, okay, go to sleep.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
Oh God. Yeah.
I don't do like that extreme of sleepwalking. I don't really sleepwalk, I don't think, anymore, but I definitely still sleep talk. And I was just telling Brody about this like right before we started recording that like I think it was last night or the night before. I think it was last night, and I was like sitting there just like patting my arms around on my bed, and my boyfriend was like, what you looking for? And I was like, the lotion. And then he was like, it's on your nightstand. And I was like, oh, and just rolled over and didn't grab the lotion or anything, just went back to sleep. But I like vaguely remember it because I was like half awake when it happened. And I was like, fuck, hopefully he doesn't question this in the morning. He was like, oh no, I didn't think anything of that because that's normal for you. I was like, Jesus, I must sleep talk more than I thought I did.
Yeah, I remember another specific time where I was when we shared the room, and I was in bed, and then we were like, our beds were opposite corners of the room, and Mom was upstairs with us, and she was sitting on your bed, and we were both like, I don't know what I was doing, but I was sitting there, and like Mom was like talking to you or something, and you were, or no, she was sitting on your bed, but like we were talking, and then you sit up, and you're like, what are all these boxes doing here? And we both like stopped our conversation and looked at you, and we're like, what? And you're just like, all these boxes. What are all these boxes doing all over? And then Mom's just like, Steph, there's no boxes here. And then you kind of like came to, and you're like, what?
There were boxes here.
There were boxes here. Yeah.
I like remember that happening. And the weird part when I sleep talk is like, I'm actually like seeing these things too, and I remember them when I wake up. Weird. So like I remember that one so vividly because I was like conscious when that happened, and I remember sitting up, and there was like a stack like halfway up like the wall of like brown like Amazon boxes. Yeah. And I was like, why are they like packing my shit up? I was like, why are all these boxes here? What are you guys doing?
Mom and Dad are going to kick me out.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like 10 years old. But I was like gesturing my hands around. I was like, all these boxes here. And like, I reached out to like touch it, and they were just gone. Like my hand went through it, and that's why I was like so confused. I was like, they were just here a minute ago. And it's so weird. And like the same thing with my lotion story. Like I felt like I was like looking for something, and I can't explain it. But
that just like unlocked a memory for me, actually. So same kind of time frame, sharing a room. Do you remember we had that humidifier?
The frog, or like the green one, the frog one?
Yes, the frog humidifier. Yes. Yeah, it was like shaped as a frog. It was like the whole like it was like the head of a frog, and like the body was like the tank of water, and like the eyes kind of like came up, and then like at the top of the eyes there was like two slits where like the steam would come pouring out of the top of the eyes. And and I remember like waking up in the middle of the night, all the lights were off, everything, and so that humidifier actually kept at the foot of my bed. And I woke up, and I just like looked over. So like foot of my bed, humidifier, and like straight shot from that is the door to our room. So like I had to basically look over that steam to see out the door there. And I like sat up, and I was just like, I saw our dog, and I'm pretty sure it was Dozer. We've had three yellow labs growing up. One barely remember. I was a little baby for the longest time. I got some cool stories about Con Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he passed away when
I don't remember him. I was pretty young.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think I was like probably like 6 or 7. Like I barely remember him. And then Whoop after that, and he passed away from cancer when he was 3, so we really didn't have 4, actually. I think it was right at 4 years old.
Yeah, it was like a week before his 4th birthday.
Yeah. And then Dozer. So I think it was Dozer, but Dozer, so like what I saw was Dozer walk into the room and like he's just like sniffing the steam, like playing with it, not like licking the water, but I know he like had interest in the steam, the humidifier, like he just play in the steam. So like he's like putting his snout over the steam and just kind of like sniffing it and stuff. So I actually sat up out of bed and because this was at the foot of the bed, and I lean forward and I go to like pet him, and I like reach my hand out into the steam to pet him, and my hand just goes right through it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
He wasn't there.
Oh, that's freaky. I don't think I remember you telling me this one.
I was very scared because I was like slightly I felt like, you're tired when you wake up in the middle of the night, and I like felt tired, but like the second my hand didn't make contact with something, I like instant wake up. I'm like, what is going on? Where is he? Like, and I'm like looking around, like, was it like a delayed reaction? Where is he? And he wasn't even in the room.
Really?
Yeah. It was so scary. I was like, that's weird.
That's freaky.
Because it was like vivid. It was like clear. Like he was playing with that steam, and I went to pet him, and he wasn't there.
Oh, maybe it was like the ghost of one of the old dogs coming.
Could have been. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have other types of dreams that you?
Sorry guys, let me go back in my notes.
All good.
Oh, I had one more like crazy one that I was gonna tell that I experienced. So, kind of going back to like the topic of like death in dreams. They say that like a lot of times, like if you have like a dream of like yourself dying, it can represent like leaving something in the past or like a new beginning to yourself. And I was trying to like decode it in my head because I've had one dream, and I remember telling Brody about it because it was freaky because I had a dream of myself dying, but like I saw my dead body, and it was weird.
Yeah.
And in the dream, I drove a car off a cliff. Oh, God. So I drove the car off. Excuse me. It was obviously not intentional, but so I drove off this cliff, and the car obviously was destroyed, and I was dead. And then there was just like, it was like an out of body experience. Like I was out looking at the smashed up car and looking at my body, and I just remember my dad for some reason standing there just staring at the crumpled car and my dead body, and he was like freaking out. I don't know how he suddenly popped up in these weeds or this like right off the edge of the cliff, but he was suddenly there like calling 911, and I like almost had the perspective of my dad looking at me, and it was weird. I think about it all the time, like what could that have meant? Like I always try and think back on like where I was in that point of life. Yeah. And like,
how long ago was this?
God, I don't know. It had to be a year or two ago, probably, because I remember going to see you at Barnes and Noble, telling you about it when we were book shopping.
Yeah.
And I think it was honestly like right after me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, and I think like that's the one thing that I can kind of like think of that I was leaving behind and starting anew for. But
that could be,
but
interesting.
I don't know.
So was it like a sky view down, or?
It was like kind of up and angled. It was like I was having an out of body experience and like floated out of my body and was looking at it.
Okay. And you did say it could have been from like Dad's perspective. Was it like that up and angled, or was it like
slightly, like it was like higher up than his head? It was almost like a drone view type of, but like farther out.
Gotcha.
It was weird. I don't know.
Do you remember anything before? Before you drove off the cliff?
I was like, I don't even know. It was like sunny, like above the ocean, all like good, and like I was driving, and it was like a sharp like turn up on like a cliff, and I just fucking drove straight.
Jeez.
So I don't know. It was crazy though.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, yeah, I just want to make sure. I know you got your journal. I want to make sure that we're not skipping anything that you wanted to cover. Did we get everything that?
I think we talked about all of it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know there's so much more that I mean, I covered, what, 2 dreams or 3 dreams, and, there's so much more to go through in depth, and I got my dream books too. I mean, we could make a series out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring you on as a surprise special guest for a bonus episode. I tried to keep this short, but yeah, I think people will like this one.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. So yeah, just some cool personal examples of some different types of dreams. I wanted to get into that topic a little bit more with some real examples and discuss different types. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I was glad to have you back on the podcast.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, and this won't be the last time either. We are already in conversation about some future topics because you are one of the favorites. So yeah, you guys rock on and stay tuned for Monday's episode. That one is going to be a good one. So yeah, you want to say anything to kind of call this episode complete?
I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, just rock on, right?
Rock on. Thanks for listening.
Sweet. All right, guys. Stay tuned for Monday, and yeah, reach out if you have any personal dream experiences yourself. The mindhikingpodcast@gmail.com or Instagram.
See ya.
Bye.